Should've seen you was trouble right from the start. Taught me so many lessons, how not to mess with broken hearts. So many questions. When this began, we was the perfect match, perhaps. We had some problems, but we working at it. And now, the arguments are getting loud. I wanna stay, but I can't help from walking out. Let's throw it away. Just take my hand and understand.
Hello guys, well, Jack the Nutritionist is back. And yeah, it's been a few weeks, fair enough. But, two new topics. So the first one is going to be everything salt. So, let's kick it off. So, what is salt? Salt is now, your common mineral, but it's also composed of sodium chloride, hence where we get the term sodium chloride from. So, a chemical compound belonging to larger classes of salt, basically. Salt in its natural form is a crystalline material. It's known as rock salt, but you can get it as known as table salt as well. So that's a little bit of a brief overview of salt itself. So now that we've had a quick explanation of that itself, obviously we use salt on foods such as your French fries, which should be up here. Everything from French fries to your Sunday roast. So what exactly, what's the key things to look for with salt? So firstly, salt, it's in pretty much everything we eat, salt, unless it's not in the food at all for whatever reason. But pretty much every single food has salt in it. Even a Twix has salt in it, believe it or not. I know it's a sweet, but still it does. So nowadays, obviously we add our good old friends table salt to pretty much everything. But here's a key thing to look for, simply because a lot of foods, how they're produced these days, do have quite a substantial amount of salt in them, which is a bit excessive. So that's because most of the time they get these ready meals and they have quite a bit of salt in. That's simply because of the fact a lot of them are Weight Watchers ones, and it adds flavour as well. So it's like fat, it adds flavour to a meal. But here's a key thing to look for. If a meal states low fat, the chances are it's either going to have a lot of sugar in or quite a lot of salt. Now if it's got a lot of salt in, things such as corn has a lot of salt in. So yeah, fair enough, it's all fine and dandy saying it's low fat, it's all good, but you need to check the labels as well, and I'll be coming to the tips later on, but that is one of the effects that it does have, and it is quite substantial as well. So that means it gives us flavour, and yeah, basically look out for that. So now we've obviously spoke a little bit about salt, and we've also mentioned things such as what we use it for, and a little tip of how to sort of help yourself out. What is the next thing to look for? Well, the next thing to look for are the negative effects of salt. So why is it bad for you? Why is salt bad for you? Well, for starters, eating too much salt will raise your blood pressure, and if you raise your blood pressure, optimal is 120/80, and if it goes any high, say 130/90, then you start to go into hypertension, and there's 3 different stages of hypertension, and obviously the higher them stages, the worse it is. Especially to train is a nightmare if somebody's got hypertension. But obviously the opposite spectrum of that is hypotension, and that's slightly different, so there's different reasons why you can have that too. However, having a high blood pressure also increases the risks of coronary heart disease. So what that is basically, it used to be called I think it was ischemic heart disease. It's basically when your arteries begin to narrow, and there's a gradual build-up of fatty acids and fatty materials in the walls of your arteries, and basically if it gets blocked, it's sort of like if a pipe gets blocked, for example, it's no good. And obviously the more it gets blocked, and the thinner the arteries become, the less that can go through them, and that's how we end up with a heart attack, and it's not very nice, or even a stroke for that matter. So it's obviously it's when your arteries and your heart muscle they're deprived of oxygen essentially, and that's why they go into that sort of shock, and that's why you do get that sort of reaction. So that's one of the worst things that can happen. That's ultimately, that's death in a nutshell. So, what are the best things to look for? Best tips we can look for? Because there is quite a lot of things we haven't considered. For example, so this is how to reduce your salt intake. Obviously, it is quite good to do so. So, firstly, check nutritional labels on your foods. So whether you're picking up a Mars bar or you're picking up some fruit, check the labels. See what it says. There's also the traffic light system as well. So obviously, green's good, yellow's moderate, and red is really bad. So if you watch out for the traffic light system, essentially you can't go wrong, as long as you're eating 6 grams of salt a day. So it does say go for a low salt option. I'd definitely go for a low salt option if possible, but also read the labels in case you have some sort of allergy to it. But it's sort of common sense, but a lot of people don't think about doing it. So that leads me on to the next one. Add less salt to cooking. So when you're making your nice Sunday's dinner or anything, we do tend to add salt. It's just one of them things. When you're in a restaurant, you'll add salt, etc., etc. However, if you sort of cut it down a bit, or you don't use it at all when you're cooking, especially if it's a high salt food, then chances are you're helping yourself out as well. Also, flavour your food with something like pepper. I'm going to do a video on pepper as well. Everything pepper, so salt, the salt. Everything good, everything bad, and everything else about pepper as well. So that'll be coming up as well. I've also got another video in the pipeline as well. So it's good to look forward to. Right, so also when it comes to cooking sauces or seasons, things especially like soy sauce have quite a lot of salt in, and that's no good for anybody. It's no good for anybody. So another thing would be, put your phone on silent, that would be another thing. Swap salty foods such as crisps or biscuits for things such as fruit, fruit and veg, because they are ultimately, they've got very little salt, if any. So that's one brilliant thing you can do. So now that we've gotten along to, obviously we've had the bad and we've had the facts as well, and how to sort of lower your salt intake. Here's one good benefit to having a balanced amount of salt in your diet. In fact, I've got a few for you. So starting with, salt is a natural, I think it's an amnistamine. I know I probably just butchered that, but it will be along here, the text. And basically, a pinch of salt sprinkled on your tongue may help allergic reaction or even an asthma attack, believe it or not. So you can study that a little bit more if you want, but these are the facts. So yeah, because it is as good as it is salt, if you sprinkle a little bit of this on your tongue when you're having even an asthma attack, or if you're having an allergic reaction to something, this can help out quite substantially. So that is something that you should want to check out, because come on, it's nice to know these little facts. So another one is your body needs salt to maintain a proper stomach pH. So if you've ever done science, which obviously everyone's done science unless you didn't go to school, you do learn about the pH scale. So obviously I think it's 0 to 7 is acid, and then everything onwards is obviously an alkaline. So to balance out your pH levels inside of your stomach, you need salt to help that, because there's a lot of alkaline foods out there as well. So that is something else you should consider. Obviously I'm not saying eat a full tub of salt, because not only will that be disgusting, but chances are you're going to go over these 6 grams of salt, because there's probably about 600,000 grams of salt in the little grains that you get in table salt. so you don't want that at all. So finally, to finish this video off and to get it in under 15 minutes, adequate salt consumption, it encourages a healthy weight, and not only that, but it helps with a fast metabolism as well. So there was a study that was carried out I think it was fairly recently, and basically an increased salt intake can help with cholesterol and also lower blood cortisol levels as well, which basically in a nutshell means that imbalances and things such as excessive cortisol, which is linked to putting weight on as well, basically it helps to stop your metabolism slowing down. And I will be researching a little bit more into this as well, but as far as I know, as far as my research has taken me, and with the facts as well, it does actually help you with a good metabolism. I mean, that's wicked. That is really good. And with everything else being said, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Christmas period, and the next video I have, well, don't know when that will be, but subscribe, like, share, and you'll never miss a minute of another video for that matter. So with everything else said, yeah, enjoy the rest of the Christmas period, and have a good Christmas too.